72 pages we'll never get back. Conor Listoka here, joined by Mike Nelson. This is the podcast where we read terrible books. Books we think we're not going to like. They're not all terrible. This one was all right, Mike. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I'm on board. I'm in the Cozyverse now.
Sad to leave the Cozyverse behind?
I am sad. I mean, we have an inkling of what we might be doing next, so I'm excited for what comes next, but I'm sad to leave the Cozyverse, for sure.
Yeah, it's like when you're in a ski lodge or something, or the house you rent to go skiing, and you're like having a great time, you're sipping a hot drink, you're sort of wearing a cable knit sweater, there's a fire roaring, and someone's like, hey, like, let's hit the slopes, and you're like, I was actually pretty comfortable here. Like, let's stick here. Let's not wade into Ernest Cline and the rest of the Tech War series. Let's stay here.
Can't you see by the fact that I'm sitting in a yoga pose on a oxblood chair, and my arms are sort of crossed cozily over myself, that I don't want to move? Come on.
You've got like a chime in the background. There's a little box of sand that you can rake if you're feeling a little tense or something. Right.
And speaking of coziness, who was the person who sent the lovely tea? I received my gift of tea.
Oh, no, Carrie. Carrie with a K. Okay,
thank you so much, Carrie. I'm looking at it right now. This is Bigelow Cozy Chamomile. Mm-hmm. I have not brewed up a cup. I have never had chamomile tea in my life. You might be, at least not wittingly.
Interesting.
I mean, when would that ever come up?
Tea, I don't.
But anyway, I looked on the box because I figured there'd be, some cozy affirmations or what have you. And so I assume you have a mug of tea right now.
Well, no, I do not. I have a Polar.
Okay.
I'm not walking the walk, I'm embarrassed to say.
Do you have, are you eating yogurt off the back of a spoon? Come on, get cozy,
man.
Sorry.
I'll drape myself in some sort of like weighted blanket that I got an Instagram ad for.
There you go. Cozy up. Because here's the story on the back of the Bigelow box. I can think of nothing cozier. I won't read the whole thing. It's actually a couple paragraphs. I'll just
wow.
I'll paraphrase the cozy story. It is the Bigelow family in 1955 moved their tea company from New York to Connecticut.
Okay. All right.
Where it was then destroyed by the Norwalk River with water moving 50 miles an hour at 35 feet high and absolutely destroyed their business.
Oh, my God. Grandma was lost, carried down river.
So the Bigelow families, Ruth, who was in her 60s, and David in his late 70s.
Wait. Ruth Bigelow?
Ruth Bigelow.
Male gigolo?
Gigolo.
Wow.
And then, so they survey the devastation. Are you feeling cozier?
Yeah. How big is this box?
The print is very small. I always love to read the stories of, when you go to a chain restaurant.
Yeah,
and it's
our story.
The story of our salt.
Yeah. John Fuddrucker had a vision.
Yes. That's precisely what I was thinking of. So then, with the help of their creditors, who extended them whatever they needed, the Bigelows were back in business in a few months.
You rarely see creditors.
I did not expect creditors to be thanked on the side of a cozy box of tea.
Ruth Bigelow turned the creditors' table over and cast them out of the...
That's right.
Wow.
Anyway, I hope that cozies everyone up.
That's incredible. That's
destruction of a factory and creditors extending.
I'm going to stick with the Sleepy Time bear. He's
yes.
Man, talk about an aesthetic. The Bigelow tea has been a shockingly prominent advertiser during National's radio broadcast this year.
Really?
The announcer...
Those creditors are coming through.
The announcer has claims that he always has his mug of Bigelow tea, I guess, for his voice. And their slogan appears to be "Tea Proudly," which I cannot get behind.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say no to that.
Wow. Well, Connecticut, I wouldn't say necessarily a cozy state, but I think, cozier than New York, you got to say. It's got sort of that sweater vibe, but it's sort of a harsh state, I would say. Highways and insurance companies, and even though
it's cozy as hell till that 35 foot wall of water destroys your business. Not so cozy then.
Yeah, it carried away their Land's End slippers and everything. Like they had to re-cozy from the ground up.
David and Ruth were up for it, though.
Amazing. Well, that's a gift, an unexpected gift in the terms of a corporate lore.
Yes. So thank you again, Carrie, for the story and the tea.
That's a potential. If you could license those rights, that might be their own series of cozy mysteries. They, rebuilding after the flood. David and Ruth.
A Hallmark. Is there a Hallmark in there? I don't think you wouldn't show the flood. It would be after the be the rebuilding, and then a young couple would come to help them. Rebuild the tea business.
David makes eyes at the young lady, and Ruth is scoping out the guy as he takes his shirt off to do some masonry or something.
You watch a different Hallmark channel than I do.
But yeah, everyone's branded content is big these days, right? Like you'll be reading a magazine and you'll see something that looks like a story, but it turns out there's the 3-point font saying it's an ad. Like Bigelow Tea could commissioning a whole series of these things. We're coming for you, Sleepy Time Bear.
All right. Well, what are we doing this episode?
Yes. There's a reason we're talking about all this coziness.
Right.
And it's because we finished The Quilters Push Back Miranda Hathaway Adventure number 7 by Mary Devlin Lynch and Debbie Devlin Zook with Beth Devlin Kuhn. And it's been a mystery, kind of.
Kind of.
Very much kind of, and that bears out in these final 50 pages. But a guild of quilters led by the titular Miranda Hathaway has been pushing back on the menace of drugs that has infiltrated their tiny town of Cutler, Pennsylvania.
And what they've done so far is they've made posters.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe they are they knitting pillow? What do you call when you make a pillow? Are you quilting a pillow?
That's a good question. And evidently people are livid with our I don't know, maybe just mine, but saying that you knit a quilt or you quilt a tapestry or you crochet a macrame. People are just, it's nails on chalkboard for some people.
It's going to drive them crazy when we get to Gabe and the long arm because I don't have any idea what's going on there.
Speaking of the guy taking his shirt off to work that long arm, it's like that old I think it was a Dr. Pepper commercial. I think where the women gathered to watch that guy.
Was he knitting?
No, he was like a construction guy, like getting a Dr. Pepper on his break or something.
Oh, okay. All right.
But yeah, so there's they've made posters, they've worked the long arm, and they've led some chants at local meetings, and like sort of last we heard, they were that was where things left. The drug dealers were spooked, and our quilting guild had been sort of given martial law powers by the local police chief to go and stake out these suspicious locations for drug deals.
Yeah, nothing on paper. I mean, keep it off the books. But for sure, he said, go out there and bust some heads.
And this is not the only off-the-books arrangement he's running. He's contracted with parolee Max Ryan Sr., Jr., how embarrassing, to also do some underground stings that the citizens are not allowed to know about. And on top of all that, there's a wedding being planned for Valentine's Day, which is in a matter of days.
Yes. The second wedding of the book?
Yes, of course. The first wedding was Miranda's daughter. This next wedding is her and her fiance Gabe.
Yes.
So I think that's caught up. It makes it seem like we've been reading like a Brandon Sanderson fantasy novel or something, but this has really only been 100 pages and probably 30,000 words, if that.
And update on the character count. It's very difficult to keep it up to date because of the confusing way she doles out the names.
Okay.
Sometimes with just the name with no mention of who they are or what the relationship is. And then later, the name and the last name.
Okay.
And so then you have to assume, okay, I guess that's supposed to be that person.
Okay, yeah.
But what do you, what's your guess at the number of characters? And I'm going to include... what's his name's? You just mentioned him, Max Ryan Jr.'s, also known as. So
okay, yes.
I'm just going to I'm going to throw that in the ring because I just had to mark it down. So we'll subtract one. But
I forget where we were last time. I think after the first 50 pages, we were at nearly a character per page, around 50. And then I think it slightly tapered off. So there might have been like 80 some by the end. I'll say we got 120 characters.
Oh, it's only 97.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess it was front loaded.
Yeah, and then, like I said, it took a lot of sleuthing to figure out suddenly, like Sammy and Gloria are mentioned with the last name, and it's like, okay, that's the previously mentioned whatever. So
yeah, and then there are some good surprises. There are places where you are. It doesn't matter like if they're new or not because they're new to you because they get mentioned once on page 3 as like a guy they met in Jamaica or something, and then all of a sudden he's at their wedding and they're acting like you've been spending the entire book with him. So it is sort of thankfully we have the ability to search in the doc because there's some great surprises at the end with people who are just mentioned as if they're an old friend and it is literally the first time they've been mentioned in the book.
That was an absolute delight to me. I was wiping a tear of joy from my eyes when there was those paragraphs where people just get mentioned again. Like, I have no idea who this is, but I will search the files. I also, a thing that absolutely delighted and confused me was non-attributed dialogue makes a real strong showing in this reading.
Yeah.
Where it's like, wait, who's saying that? It's 2 characters are described and then dialogue just starts with no attribution. And when you get to the end, you're like, oh, I had it reversed.
Right. Yes, exactly. This changes everything.
Yes. All right. Well, chapter 22.
A delightful book. Yeah, let's get started. This is we're about to head out on some recon. And to me, the big reveal here was that like Gabe's been stealing from the FBI. He says
his equipment, yeah.
Yeah, he's accumulated a certain amount of equipment, including a night vision camera, over his years. And I guess it's sort of everyone's duty to do some light office theft, whether it's a pen or Post-it notes or something. But this seems like more of some serious business here.
I love the way that was introduced, where she says, the good news was that in Gabe's work. I was like, well, you're telling the story, but hey, thanks for the good news.
Sure, yes. And I guess it says it's a private investigator, so I guess maybe but like, whatever. This is the first we're hearing about his work as a private investigator. We've just been heard he's an ex-FBI agent.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know whether that was before FBI, in the middle, on the side, weekends. I don't know. But we get pretty quickly to a Sonic challenge, if you're ready. Are you up for it?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, this is Harry. You know who Harry is.
Harry is the cat, yes. He's a major presence all of a sudden here.
Ears back, eyes narrowed, Harry was spewing what passes as full cat sentences. Weow, meow, greow, neow, and the like. So, weow, huiow, meow, greow, neow.
I've got, yep. And his ears are back and his eyes are narrowed, so he seems kind of pissed, right?
He's spewing,
okay.
So yes.
All right, ready?
Yes.
Meow, 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 meow.
Oh my god.
Meow, 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 meow.
Oh, put that on a loop, and yes, you can drive people from a compound.
Every time I call you, yeah. Yeah,
ringtone.
We're led to believe that Harry is, he's communicating something, which I believe, I think is, as we discussed in the preview episode, is a almost requirement of the Cozy Mysteries is the animal who helps you solve these things.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And so I think when she says, still stroking him gently on his back, Gabe carried him into the living room and put him on his recliner, and then it switches to italics out of the blue. Yes, Harry has his own recliner. Don't judge.
Mm-hmm.
So
that meta commentary made me wonder which sister is pulling off. This is next level stuff.
Oh, like who's judging? You mean? No, like which sister writing the book?
Yeah, which sister writing the book is kind of like, I'm going to take this to some weird places. I'm going to shatter the fourth wall and tell my readers not to judge me.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a shout out to the haters, like someone was, laying down some 1-star reviews for books 1 through 6, maybe.
Right.
But so these cozy mystery solvers always have their own cat who's, helping them solve murders and stuff. So reward it with its own recliner at the bare minimum if they're bringing killers to justice.
Harry doesn't do anything though.
He did I think he alerted them to the fact that the answering machine had a message later in the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think he walked over there.
Oh, wait, no, sorry, I take it back. He found a baby.
Okay.
What am I saying?
Oh, true, yeah. And then a baby that was later adopted by the woman whose brother had died of cancer and the former police chief had died of a heart attack because he snuck out for too many burgers.
Right.
Right.
The police chief, Jimmy, who's a big role in here, but is not Jim, James, or another Jimmy.
Right.
I believe there are 4 at this point.
So she says, I guess they pet the cat, and then that's when they head out to the surveillance mission, right?
Yes.
And the surveillance mission is at the seedy-looking bar named Bruno's. They provide some colorful detail that one of the lights in the neon sign is out, so it says BR nose or something. So you can tell how seedy it is. The guy doesn't even care enough to fix his own sign. So logically, you jump to drug dealing.
Yes, yeah, of course.
And they keep dropping this information, and I can't decide if I'm thankful or relieved they don't elaborate when they say, we sat there for half an hour before a suspicious-looking guy came out, dressed in all black and wearing a baseball cap. He lit up a cigarette and lounged against the outside wall of the bar. So, it says suspicious-looking. You want to sort of judge them for judging the guy, but he's dressed like a silent movie, robber type of guy.
Yeah, he has horizontal stripes on his. Yes. He's wearing a mask, just like a Lone Ranger mask.
Right. Yeah, he's got just a sign that says "drugs here." Yes. And they take pictures of him. Gabe takes pictures of him through the car window as he makes a extremely obvious drug deal to a woman who's sticks the drugs into her bra.
Yeah, this seems very. Well, Jimmy says it this is small time stuff. We got to catch the big fish. But this puzzled me. She calls Jimmy by, so they're in their car, right? They're taking photos with his night of vision goggles or whatever. Mm-hmm. I speed dialed the number Jimmy had given us.
Oh, wow.
What is speed dialing with a cell phone? I pressed Jimmy's name. I don't know.
That's a good point. I mean, she could have a, the ancient car phone from the 90s still there in Cutler. I don't know.
Yeah, with the little coiled thing goes into the trunk, maybe. I guess so.
But it is very. I mean, it's small time because it's sort of like in Roadhouse, right? There's a guy dealing drugs behind the bar. I feel like he was. The women were tucking it into their bra there too.
Yeah, I think that's what she had in mind. I think they're big Roadhouse fans. Yes. You're just supposed to picture that.
But Jimmy essentially says nothing we can do. Well, he gets there too late. He says, there's, they'll be gone by the time we do anything. And Gabe is, I guess, he says, by the time you show us the photos, we need more proof than they're able to provide. So it's well, why did we come here? What was you just show up and instantly say nothing we can do. We sort of risked our lives to be here.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, she should be, speed dialing the Quilters and saying, Jimmy was just patronizing us. Let's stop. Brittany, you can stop scheduling us for our shifts.
Yeah, exactly. Burn these posters. We're all buying guns. We're taking the law into our own hands. But yeah, so she's sort of disappointed in that. She also was sort of disappointed that Gabe didn't leap out and make a citizen's arrest, which, in terms of movie things that you never actually encounter in real life, citizen's arrests have to be pretty high up there.
Have you ever seen one or known anyone that did them?
No, I mean, but it seems like if that was an actual thing, you'd probably, in this age of, YouTube and everyone having a camera, you'd probably have the citizens arrest channel. I'm going out today to make another one.
It seems like if you tried that on someone, it would be about as effective as that guy who yelled about how he called the real police and the cyber police.
Yes, right.
It would be taken that seriously.
Yeah, there's a guy who, he laminated his passport, so now the law doesn't apply to him, and he also has the the flag of a micronation flying above his house. So he's a sovereign citizen.
I have another Sonic challenge.
Oh boy.
So Miranda's sad because she can't stop thinking about Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabe gives her a hug, but then Harry cozies up to her right next to her mug of chamomile. Cats are not fast processors. Then he raised his right paw and placed it gently on my cheek. This is a rare sign of affection. Period. Hard stop. New quotes. Yow.
Okay, so this is not ears back. This is not eyes narrowed. This is a
rare sign of affection.
Yeah.
Yow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God. I don't know which is worse. Your eyes narrowed and your ears back, or the affectionate yow.
And she says, "I almost choked up at that rare sign of affection." So the what provoked that was Harry made a string of irritating cat noises, which she endured. But then she says softly, "I hear you, Harry, but our kids are dying." And so that's what provoked the cat to really signify that affection.
It's a lot to put on a cat.
It is. The cat is like, I'm about to barf up a dead mouse. I just giving you a heads up. That's why.
I got a lot in my mind as well. So
I did step out of my litter box mere seconds ago, and now I am touching your cheek. Yeah.
I sort of rubbed my paws on the carpet but I didn't get everything off.
Not
let's
a
be
chance.
clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm an older cat. The litter is baked into my paw pads.
Oh God.
Speaking from experience here. Well, is that it for chapter 22?
Yep. Chapter 23.
All right. Chapter 23. Diane meets Miranda at the tavern. No, I'm sorry, not the tavern. The tavern is Lizzie, who has a thing for Gabe and is not invited to the wedding. Diane runs, I guess, the diner, or maybe just called Diane's.
No, Sylvia.
Sorry,
is at the diner.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yes, Diane is the friend. Sylvia runs the diner.
Yes,
and Sylvia has been giving Diane a hard time for years, sort of teasing, but sometimes a little over the line. And so this is the interaction we get here is baffling. When Sylvia saw the notebook, she went slightly pale. "Are you taking notes for the health inspector?" Without missing a beat, Diane looked at her and said, "Should I be?" So there's Sylvia is terrified, and Diane is just laying it on thick, even though they're there to research the drug dealers.
Yeah, and I mean, Sylvia clearly does have something to hide.
Yes, absolutely.
This is not a sanitary organization here.
Yeah, she's got expired meatloaf. They've got maybe some people who you're working in the back who aren't documented or something. They're not paying taxes on.
Pork and sauerkraut frozen over from the last year is just being reserved.
Yeah, she's serving barbecue like at the wrong time of year, and she's very
right.
But yeah, so this brings me up to a question that a Patreon listener asked, which is Miranda, and I guess Diane by association, are they Karens? Your typical I want to speak to the manager, just sort of like self-absorbed type of ladies. It hadn't really occurred to me, but I think there's some aspects there.
They don't seem sort of brittle enough for that.
Right.
They're always chuckling over it. They're doing it with a chuckle.
I guess so, but that's you can say like, "Hey, I'm just giving you a hard time," after you're like, "You ugly son of a bitch," you're like, "Hey, he's like, "Well, you still said it. You still did it. You still said, should I call the health inspector?" And remember, she Miranda to the owner of the tavern was like, "I would invite you, but I'm sure you'll be busy."
Oh, there was that. Yeah, she's got a little steely edge. Now that you mention it, sure.
All right. Well, I just I said we would discuss it, so it didn't occur to me. I think that their hearts are in the right place, but sometimes I think they just do maybe just I don't know.
Well, I think obviously they're sassy, dare I say saucy, but I don't know if they go all the way to Karen.
Yeah, I
leave that for the listener to decide.
Yeah, I think that the Karen usually has to be a little more like driving a bit of a nicer car type of thing. I feel that Miranda's well enough off with Gabe's FBI pension and stuff, but I don't think they're that sort of more suburban McMansion-y kind of Karen.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is nice to finally get this. Right when they sit down, I think this is Diane. Then, having determined that the old parking lot behind the school was the primary spot for drug transactions, I went to Eve. You remember Eve Grant? She became principal about 2 years ago when Joe Herman retired. It had just been a while, so it did my heart good to just dole out some character names.
It really is just the experience of my grandmother just describing. The relatives you don't see that you remember her. I don't really. And please talk about people that are like at least in the same state as us if we're going to talk about people that we've never met.
Yes.
But yeah, so they've pinpointed the primary spot for drug transactions. And so Diane has, of course, alerted Jimmy, who's got it staked out with cops. No, she's assigning rookie teachers to sit at a desk in a dead-end corridor and watch the back lot for an unpaid, I assume, hour after school.
I found that it took me a second to see what was going on there. Like, she put a desk in the corner that was in a disused corner of the school and sat teachers at it.
Yeah.
So it has a view of the primary spot for drug dealing.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, the hallways in my schools, I don't recall having like large picture windows or anything that you could observe drug dealing out of. And I don't know, this has one-way glass or something. You'd think that the drug dealers who, since they're wearing masks and horizontal shirts, they're probably also, looking over their shoulder furtively every now and then to scope the scene. But they didn't notice these teachers at a desk.
Also, Cutler, how far, we're still speed dialing.
Yep.
In the mid 2000s. No cameras at a school?
Motion detection. I feel like those are pretty, you hear about schools with metal detectors and stuff. So you'd think that like, some cameras outside would be easy enough to install.
Well, I suppose that when you build an interstate near a school, you probably have to go and install the cameras. But until that point, I think you're safe.
Yes, it sort of is part of the 5-year plan, I think, for all interstate installing.
Right.
You undo the evils that you've done over time. You say these first couple years are going to be rough. This interstate's going to bring a lot of bad elements and crime and pollution, but we will phase them out slowly. So just bear with us.
And we understand once the perpetrators get back on the freeway, there's nothing the police can do. That's a trade-off we're willing to make.
Yes. Although in this case, it seems like, the interstate barrier is not what's stopping Jimmy and the Cutler Police Department.
That's true.
We got to say this seemingly innocuous exchange here, which becomes a bit clearer later. I think that Diane says, "Did you know that Adam McCutchen is teaching at the high school now? That name doesn't ring a bell. Should I know him? Lucy's Adam, the redheaded boyfriend. Duh." Oh, wait, yes, she did tell me he was hired for the semester. Lucy was going to have him take some posters out to the mall. I forgot he's not working at the furniture store anymore.
He's the one. We got the bio on him. He wanted to get some experience as a manager or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember, there was just a full-stop 2-paragraph description of this off-camera character.
Yeah, and someone had gone there and seen him. They had been to Jamaica together. They're both a redhead. And so they...
Yeah, Gabe figured he was the manager of the furniture
store.
Oh,
right. Yes. He gave off that air.
He gave it. Right.
And so I went back and looked at this after the book because, we're going to get ahead of this, but Adam is up to no good. But it had this passage from Lucy when she described their trip to Jamaica from, an early chapter. He's everything I ever dreamed a man could be. Just so down to earth, kind, considerate, funny. She paused for breath. My parents love him. And he's spending time with Jeff, too. I think he's a good influence on him. So looking back, a little protesting too much, but We'll get to Adam and his downfall later.
My takeaway is, who the hell is Jeff?
Yes, exactly. Jeff is, I don't know, maybe he was in league with Max Ryan Jr. or something.
Oh, I guess it could be.
But so Diane has the other teachers, I hope you're sitting down, putting up some posters.
Yep.
And we finally get a good look at these posters that have been just sort of spoken about in, odd tones for pages and pages. We've been putting up hundreds of them all around town. And they did us the favor of actually including them in the book. And they are spectacular.
So good.
We get one that says, "Smile, you're on camera." And then there is a clip art camera that is, sort of disproportioned. They didn't use the constrained proportions tool when they pasted it in, so it looks all sort of flat and stretched. And then we get one that says, "Don't even think about it. We're watching," with a clip art syringe. I think I found the exact syringe. I searched for free clip art syringe and found a page.
Oh, wow.
I scrolled down a couple dozen, found one. It has 5 demarcation lines. The liquid is up to the 4th line. Not sure exactly what they're talking about because this is not an X bar or anything like that. It's not a packet. It's an actual, heroin syringe, which I don't think they've gone that far in Cutler yet.
It's been pills and X bars.
Yeah, but maybe free clip art X bars weren't available. They still had the clipart.com watermark on them, so they might have had to go with their second choice.
That's true. So the camera, to be clear, because we talked about that, would be the teacher sitting at the table, right, or at the desk, taking a photo, right?
That's a good point. Yes, or Gabe's night vision camera through the window.
Right. Okay. So it's not cameras mounted on the school, just to be clear.
Right. The teacher finishes their hour-long unpaid overtime shift. They get up from their desk. They're calling their husband to say they're sorry to miss their child's basketball game or something, and then they see this "Smile, you're on camera." Like, what the hell? Like, what was I even here for?
So that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah. The posters, I tried to find them. The Vermont Liquor Commission has these posters up that at some point in time I realized were official posters, but they have selling. They say selling beer underage, go to jail, and then they have a clip art policeman. They have a clip art beer type of thing. They're in bars, they're in grocery stores, and I really tried to track them down. If anyone's in Vermont and can snap a pic, they look. We laugh at these posters because they're terrible, and the official ones in the state of Vermont are no better.
Any bead on when they were created? Is there anything about the?
Yeah, they didn't have a date on them, but if they were made in the past decade, I'd be shocked. They're definitely Microsoft publisher. Okay. and Diane says, those Miranda says those are great, and Diane says art department. It's well, fire these people immediately. They've lied on the resume. They have no training whatsoever.
They took a piece of clip art. Yeah. So she's talking about the school art department, right?
Yes. Which
okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was a junior high class.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we move on to chapter 24. This is I think a Quilters Guild meeting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think is this the chapter with there might be some hardcore quilting here? I'm not sure.
I think they get into that later after.
Okay, that's
stuff,
later.
But they do fill us in on what their plan is. They're going to continue their anti-drug battle by making quilts that say hope and believe, and I think they're going to auction these off to raise money for the anti-drug efforts or something like that.
Right.
I think they're deep in the hole from the hundreds of posters they printed. Oh no, I guess he gave them to him free. That was his contribution. Anyway, I'm not sure how much demand there is for a hope or believe quilted pillow, but I don't know. Cutler seems like a pretty basic town, so.
Yeah, and since there's not that many people, and it seems like quilters are 30% of the city, you'd think it would be trying to give someone a box of zucchini at the end of the growing season or something. Yes. Yeah, I got plenty of quilted pillows that say hope and believe on it.
Right. Yes. Yeah, it's a very live, love, laugh kind of town.
Yeah.
But so we get filled in on the third observation of drug dealers. So everyone went out. Everyone immediately found drug deals being perpetrated. So it sort of seems like the police department is just actively not looking for the drug dealers, because it's like, it'd be like walking through a casino and finding slot machines at this point in time. Like, it's not difficult. You just turn your head.
Right. Because anyone can find it at any time. But imagine so as you said, this is the third. And is this the twins?
Yes, Harriet and Sarah.
So they observe a drug deal, and they also call Jimmy right away.
Yes.
Imagine how that phone call went. Jimmy, like, for the love of God, this is the third phone call within as many minutes.
Right. Yeah. He's either just like incredibly irritated, or he's like faking, like, no, this is Jimmy's wife. He can't come to the phone.
He's very busy. He's bringing down kingpins. Is this about kingpins?
But they might have got there after Miranda, because it does not specify that they speed dialed him. So they could have gotten a busy signal, because those probably still exist in Cutler.
Do you think a pencil in the rotary phone was the way that Sarah and Harriet
was that something people did to make that easier?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
But so Harriet and Sarah are at the Quickie Mart. It's actually called that. And that's fitting, because we essentially learned that they're pretty much Patty and Selma from The Simpsons. They're they're in their 60s. We learned that they just are homebound essentially. They're all they have is each other. But they they've adopted donut shop workers. Sure,
well.
Yes, the pathetic looking, like, slovenly donut shop worker.
I was surprised that they were in their like 60s.
Yeah, especially based on what happens.
Yeah, yes. Well, this is the action scene, so let's get to it.
Incredible. So yeah, they observe yet another suspicious car. I do not know sort of what makes it suspicious, but these drug dealers go to no efforts to hide the fact that they are dealing drugs. They have they open their trunk, they open the box that says drugs. They're like an old timey fish vendor where they're like, fresh drugs here.
Yes.
And then guys walk up in black beanies and shifty eyes, look around and offer them, pull out an envelope that says drug money and hands them to them. But they did not bank on Harriet and Sarah.
Right. So they go to the back. They realized they didn't have time to call Jimmy, like you said, speed dial. I mean, they eventually call him.
Yeah, sure. But they probably heard from Miranda that Jimmy got there after everything was done and said he couldn't deal with him, so they know they need to take the law into their own hands.
Yeah, so we had to do something. One car pulled out before I could get back there, and the other two guys were starting to get in their car. I pulled out my taser and caught the passenger guy in the middle of the back, she said with satisfaction. He went down like a stone. I believe that is probably a felony, right?
Yes, right. Yeah. So, we might as well get ahead of it. The guy that they tase, Max Ryan Jr., undercover operative.
He's having a bad year.
Yes. So they tase a innocent guy. They commit a felony. They interfere with a police investigation. Then they hop in their car and follow the black Lexus in hot pursuit and get the New York license plate numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's impossible to imagine. This 60-year-old woman, it doesn't say anything about the shape, but shuffling over there, tasing a guy. She says with satisfaction. So she's getting off on it. And then he collapses in a heap. And it's just an amazing mental image. I don't know what the other drug dealers did, but Max Ryan Jr. just lying there writhing, maybe foaming at the mouth.
So, yeah, did he, connect with the pavement with his front teeth? His nose shattered.
Right. Yeah, just fell backwards in concussion. Maybe he hit the tailpipe of the car.
Does she pull the electrodes out of his body then and wind up the taser, which she heads off in hot pursuit?
But it reminded me of just, like Nordberg in The Naked Gun, just like this, friendly guy who's like trying to get his life back on track. And like, these things just keep happening to him. He gets tased by a random person. Then a grandma maces him or something. He falls through a glass window, steps in a bear trap.
Oh, Max Ryan Jr.
Well, I have so this story from the Quilters Guild warrants a sonic challenge.
Oh, I have one for you too.
Yeah,
maybe it's the same one. Okay.
We made impressed noises and nodded our approval.
Yes, that was my sonic challenge.
Let's hear it. So this is a whole chorus of impressed noises.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so there's nodding. Just picture the nodding,
yeah.
too.
So I'll just say it. I tased a guy. Oh, he went down like a stone. Well.
Ooh, I know.
Yes. Yeah, so, but then that's when Miranda reveals that she knew a little more of the story than the girls had told and exchanged looks with Gabe, who shook his head slightly. I couldn't tell them, but I can tell you. The police had brought Max Ryan Jr. home to use as an undercover agent. They neglected to tell the Quilters, of course, and I understand that. It would have been all over town within an hour. But it didn't work out so well for Max, which I'm sure as he's, entering the concussion protocol, a guy shining a light in his eyes. I hope he's thinking like, this really didn't work out so well for me.
Well, what was his job that he was sending? Oh, he worked at the oil and...
Yeah, he was just doing oil changes dozens a day and sending money home to his mom in an unmarked envelope.
Oh, hell of a life.
Yes.
Another sonic challenge.
Okay.
A round of applause ensued with several exclamations of congratulations. This is after hearing that they had tased a guy.
Tased an innocent guy.
Memorized a license.
Say it again. A round of applause with several...
exclamations of congratulations. But you're a quilter.
Okay.
Keep that in mind.
Okay. Well, congratulations! Huzzah! Well done, Harriet and Sarah. Oh, no.
Oh, good Lord.
I don't know. that was Queenie. I don't know. She seems like a sassy broad.
Oh, yeah. She's got a lot of rings and bling on, right?
Blue hair,
Yep.
Let's see. So we get some more information about Max chatting up Martin, the drug dealer. This is the backstory of how he became to be, the record scratch. Like, you might be wondering how I got in this position, like as the taser's catching him in the back. It says Max had chatted up Martin. Maybe this is my own note, but Martin, as you recall, is fearing for his life. He's worried that the drug dealers are going to take him out after the girl got dropped off. But for a guy who's worried about his own life, he's pretty much a giant dumbass. It says, as soon as Max bought him a drink and made a casual remark about pushing pills, Martin opened up. So Max essentially did hey, if a guy were to be, looking to push some pills in this town, where might he be able to do that? And keep in mind, he's also wearing a obviously fake mustache and dyeing his hair.
Oh, yes, which he makes a note of later. Like, this guy is obviously wearing a fake mustache.
But that's all it took for Martin to bring him on this mission. And this is so Jimmy says Jimmy tried to spin the tasing as increasing Max's credibility when he could stop laughing. So Jimmy's not only just an inept cop in this, he's a huge dick about the innocent undercover op he brought in and was immediately like injured in the line of duty.
Yeah, Jimmy, this is like Bad Lieutenant at this point. You have to stop this. There are so many ethics violations happening here.
Yeah. Max is like, oh, man, I can't go back out there. And he's like, we own your ass, son. You get out there, you're going back to hard time, lubing cars. And, I'm going to take even more money out of the envelopes that your mom sends me every week.
But then we get this nice passive language of the entire quilt guild was ordered to stand down now and let the police take it from here. So I assume that's Jimmy giving the orders. I don't know why.
When he can stop laughing, yeah.
Yes. But this is a great detail. Jimmy confiscated Harriet's taser because she had disobeyed orders to watch and report only. It was my turn to laugh because if she thinks she had only one, he'd be mistaken. Harriet just has shelves of tasers?
Yeah.
Who is she tasing?
Well, is she the one that also said they were like, she's still packing heat too?
Is she?
In the last book, there was like a look they exchanged, and Miranda interpreted that. So, I mean, Max Ryan is lucky he escaped with his life, that she didn't just go in, standing her ground and opening fire. Like, he could easily bankrupt the town with a lawsuit at this point in time.
He is free and clear right now. He needs to do no more undercover work.
Yeah, right. You cut him a deal and be like, yeah, well, we don't need any more parole. You've earned it. Like, we're wiping your file clean now. Like, please just go on and hope he doesn't get a lawyer.
Yes, but plot-wise, just a jumble of stuff that all just to say that that tasing and the license plate led to the them collaring Martin, right?
Yep. He says he was turned over to the state police and transported to the county jail in Danville, which had better security than Cutler's holding cell. So it sounds like that makes it sound like, they're worried for his safety because people are just getting Jeffrey Epstein in the Cutler holding cell all the time.
Or, I don't know, Jimmy just doesn't have an eye on it because he's taking so many phone calls.
I guess so, yes. I mean, yeah, we do get a look at it later that indicates that security is not high as a guy wanders in with pizza to the holding cell. So I guess it could be column A, column B. There's bad security and people get murdered in it. Right,
and I think that Joe and who's the other guy, the other cop? I think those are supposed to be like Barney Fifes to the Jimmy.
Sure.
To Jimmy, I think.
But yeah, it says, Jimmy felt word was out that Cutler is not a safe place for the dealers anymore. We will continue to monitor the high school and give talks against drugs loose. The whole town remains on alert, and we keep our eyes open for any sign of dealers. And so that's page 113 of the 154-page book. And so we enter an interesting phase here where you just wonder, is this really over? Like, is this have they turned the page on the quote unquote mystery? And for a while, it seems like they in fact have.
It seems to be under control. I mean, we only met there's the one drug dealer, right? And he's in jail.
Well, Martin, yeah, but Mr. Big or Mr. Smith is still out there in New York, the stockbroker. And we've got Baldy.
Baldy was a shadowy figure. Well, I'm not sure where Baldy is until he comes up in the book.
Right. But anyway, we enter to chapter 25, and which is a flashback to like the previous Thursday. Max Ryan Sr. has popped into the police station to talk to Police Chief Jimmy. And then, as you do, he runs out to pick up some pizza to bring back to the police station to eat there. And when he returns, the desk is unmanned, and it just says he heard some noise from the bathroom. So Jimmy's in there just like, grunting and sweating, making room for pizza. And
wait. Let's clear up the pizza thing. This is what confused me. Joe, the cop, says, I've got to run over to the pizza shop and pick up a pie for the prisoner's dinner.
Okay.
So Max Sr. says, I'll do it?
Wow.
So he goes over there and grabs the pizza, and then Joe isn't there. So then Max Sr. just wanders into the prison.
So
Max was very confused.
Max Sr.'s like, if you smell any pot around my house, just remember I'm picking up pizza for you, type of thing. Like he's doing the police a favor here.
I guess so. So Joe is wrecking the can, I guess.
Yes, Max hears that
and leaves the prison open. So Max just wanders into the holding cell.
Right, and so I guess they're in the habit of buying prisoners pizza, which is interesting. And he walks down there, and we get just an interesting description because in the holding cell is Max Ryan Jr., who they took there to maintain his cover, and it says, Max Sr. looked at him with wet eyes. That's my son. And then Joe says, nah, I know Max, and that's not him. The lighting's not so good in here. He slammed the cell door and took the keys. So Max Sr.'s weeping. He hasn't seen his son in years. Joe fresh off just destroying the bathroom, gaslights the hell out of him and just is like, let's go eat the pizza.
Why is he trying to tell him it's not his son?
The desire
to get him out of there?
Yeah, the desire to maintain this weird illegal it's because it's an illegal undercover operation to
protect the undercover thing. I see.
Yeah, and because they say word would just get out if he was back in town. Maybe, since they, Max Ryan is a credibly accused assault and rapist. Like the word might get out around town that like no one's safe, based on his backstory.
I guess. And also, do they think that when they send him out to do these stings as a free citizen that, his dad's not going to see him on the street and go, that's my son.
Right. No.
They're going to go, well, no, that can't be him because he's not in town.
And then, so, Harriet, tase him. He knows too much. But I think that they let Max Ryan Jr. talk to his dad. And he says, I'm undercover, Dad, going after the drug dealers that have been selling to kids in town, and it's not over. He looked at the man intently. No one can know I'm here. If you tell anyone you saw me, I'm as good as dead, okay? So the cops have really drilled down this why he's not allowed to talk to anybody. They've really put the fear of for his own life into this operation.
Right. And I just realized the connection now with Adam McCutchen.
Yeah.
That's Max Ryan's furniture shop that he works at.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Jimmy wasn't happy, but he understood what had happened. So he knows now that the sting is ruined, at least for Max Ryan Sr. Friday on the way to the station, the sting was ruined for Max Ryan Sr.
Got it.
Right.
Oh, man.
The word could get out if Max Ryan Sr. doesn't keep his mouth shut. So Friday on the way to the station, he stopped by Max Ryan's furniture shop and had a chat with him. One more dealer, he said. One more, Max Sr. agreed. Then you let my boy come home. So
wow.
Max Sr. of Max Ryan's furniture shop is calling the shots of this operation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the furniture shop's more powerful than this police department, I would say. Yes. That's where you go to, you go there to learn management. That's, everyone knows that. It's like the...
Sure.
That's why the guy from Harlem went to Florida. That's the experience playground for anyone who wants to be a furniture salesman, manager.
That's right.
But we get this exchange, heartwarming. Max Sr. took out his handkerchief and wiped his face. He nodded. He stood up and walked to the door. Without looking back, he said, "I'm proud of you, boy." Max covered his face with his hands. He'd never imagined he would hear his dad say those words. And I think what he meant to say was, "You're a massive idiot, son. You're in way over your head. If you make it out alive, don't come back for Thanksgiving."
And how come I'm not getting any more envelopes of money?
Yeah, right.
They're separated, maybe, right?
I mean, I guess they have to be, because if he's running the successful furniture store, it seems like he doesn't need to be mailing his mom anything. Maybe the trauma of their son, straying from the path caused a rift in their marriage or something.
Yeah, that could be.
Man, I'm still shaken by this revelation that this book is more intricate and plotted than you'd think. It's like you watch a M. Night movie and you go back and that the threads are all there. He's sown the seeds throughout.
Pins on a wall, threads connecting it. You know it.
Amazing. Well, one more bust is what they need to do. So in chapter 26, let's have a wedding. And at this point, it seems like it was almost like the book we wrote with our Patreon supporters, where everyone got, a page and then you alternated. It's like this almost seems to have happened with this book, because it's like someone just grafted two things together, where the drug deals and all that is completely forgotten about, and it's just 100% wedding all the time for like the next 30 pages of the book.
It's it's the Hallmark tradition, as you know, is that you're in the small town and it's all leading up to the big festival.
Okay.
So it's positing a world in which small towns still have festival. Yeah. I know they exist, but
Apple Festival, Maple Syrup Festival,
yes, and everyone has to go up and do something, or the big dance at the big festival.
The mayor makes a speech.
Yeah, so that's always in the background. So that's just what this is.
Okay.
Weddings are just always there.
It's a proud folk tradition of storytelling, I guess.
Yeah. So now we just slam on the brakes and we have a wedding. Yeah, you're right. That's just how it works.
And this is just this when you set the stage like this, how can you object to someone incorporating a wedding into your story? We were on our way to St. Luke's when the skies cleared, the sun shone, and a rainbow lit up the sky. It was as if a magic wand had been waved and changed everything in 5 minutes.
It was as though the tea factory had been blown away by the Norwalk River and then been rebuilt in a month by creditors being extended.
So when you, it's hard not to be charmed by something that hand wavy and Deus sexy.
This is a charming thing as well. As you may know, I'm not a big fan of high heels. How may we know this? I guess books 1 through 6. I know.
Yeah, it's a major focus. Like, one was her refusing, 3 months of deep depression, refusing to get out of bed because she tripped on a high heel or something. And that's how it ruined her first marriage before she met Gabe.
Oh, yeah. There's probably a whole story on that. We got to go back.
Yeah. We actually, a listener has read all previous 6 books, so I think we might do a bonus app talking to him or something to get some of the details about some of these weird plot points.
Yes.
We get do that next week.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So it's wedding time. It's sort of a redo of the first wedding where the men wear black suits or whatever, and then we get the description of the dresses. But then we get a very hallmarky scene, a light knock on the door, and Zoey comes in. Mm-hmm. And she finally admits concern
Zoey
or
is
sadness.
Her daughter.
Yeah. Over the fact that Daddy is not... I can't help think about Daddy today. I miss him so much, and now we're moving on without him. Mm-hmm. And this just made me think, How is Daddy? What happened to Daddy?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Did he get shot by a drug dealer in book 5?
Right. Yeah. Errant tasing by a elderly woman or something.
Yeah. Beaten to death by Harriet and Sarah. I don't know. But we don't
and
we don't know the details.
Yeah. You could have had this conversation at any other time. Would have been probably a bit better than literally the wedding day. Yeah,
I'm walking right out to the to be married right now.
I need a makeup touch up and all this stuff but she does shrug it off pretty easily. She pulls her into a hug and says, "I love you, both of you girls. You are my family. Now let's go meet those delicious men of ours at the church, shall we?"
Yes. That was a cringeworthy sentence.
Absolutely. And so. Once again, there are still the major drug dealers at large. So it seems like an appropriate amount of time to devote 5 paragraphs to Daniel Bartel. And Daniel Bartel is the father of Queenie's child, who she has reunited with, invited to the wedding. And I just was like, I beg of you to focus here. They had met somewhere, and then, he didn't know that he got her pregnant. He moved to Hollywood to pursue a career in the movies. We get some information about their daughter, who is all grown up now and is like a Broadway performer. Mm-hmm. It's really incredible. They can't help themselves.
It was so great in the middle of doling out some more Tom and Judy Smithin. Mm-hmm. And then Brittany and her husband, John, were there. And I will just point out, where's my note on this? John, okay. There are 4 Johns, I think.
Oh, my God.
The youngest Horton boy or whatever.
Okay.
Oh, no, here it is. John Morton, the youngest Morton boy, or John Gustafson, the cop. So there's 3. Sorry, there's 3 Johns. Why at this point do we have to have another John
introduced? It's so maddening.
We have 4 James and 3 Johns. I think there's a couple Williams. Oh, solve this mystery. Who are William and Janie?
Oh, are they? I mean, I had another mystery at the end of the book. William. This was one I wrote down. I challenge you to tell me who these people are, and so I did look it up. William and Janie are 2 librarians who Miranda was surprised to see had spent Christmas together. Do you remember that? She was like, "Are you dating?" And they're like, not really, but we're,
Oh, so they're not. That's not Lucy and Adam. They're different.
I don't know how many people this library employs, but yeah, they have a massive staff.
Oh, okay. All right. So William and Janie are other librarians.
They are a Jim and Pam workplace romance kind of thing.
Okay. And Tom and Judy Smythen.
Tom and Judy Smythen. I remember the Smythens. But I can't tell you who they are. They're not the rich people who fly people in.
Oh, maybe, but someone was dating their son, I think.
Oh, that might be Jenny's parents.
No. Jenny are here, let me go to the vamp for a second. I got my character list here.
Yeah.
Control Y here.
This whole discussion makes me confident in my assertion that they are really pushing the limits of small and intimate with this type of people who are here.
That's true.
I mean, come on. Okay. Daniel Bartel, this is not intimate any longer. You've got
when you get the Bartels,
formerly homeless veteran with PTSD, small and intimate, please. Disgusted.
Judy Smythen is in the quilting group. She is, I think, the cousin of Taylor Perryman. Tommy is Judy's son.
Tommy
So
Smythen?
Tommy is not at the wedding. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, if he's not there, I guess it's sort of small and intimate.
But... and Julie Sorensen is Tommy Smythen's girlfriend.
Oh, right. But no, they were dating, right? And but then Tommy was too interested in baseball?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. All right. I'm glad we sorted that out. That's important stuff.
Okay. Yeah, because Jake Perryman is the late police chief. Taylor is the widow.
Okay.
Taylor Perryman's brother is probably at the wedding, and Taylor Perryman's adopted baby.
Taylor Perryman's brother died of cancer painfully in Pittsburgh. How dare you?
It's true. He's a character in the book, though, so he's not at the wedding.
He's there in spirit. It's like when they say like, let's acknowledge everyone who can't be here, like type of thing. They probably are talking about him.
Of course they are. Yes. All right. So
we got this description though, and this was the sort of thing that I circled, and then went back to it. But Lucy and her beau Adam were holding hands and whispering to each other. Their two redheads close together. Remember when Gabe said he got a prickle at the tavern? That was when Martin was there, I think, with his fake mustache. That's the kind of feeling I got when I looked Adam in the eye. But I immediately shook the thought from my head. I had no reason to feel that way. It's just the kind of subtle storytelling we're here for.
I did not. I was kind of, when you're taking notes, you read it in a different way. I didn't even notice that. I was still not suspecting Adam McCutchen, is what I'm saying. as unsubtle as that was, I didn't. I just sort of passed over it.
So yeah, that's I guess the clues were there all along, but. The other thing that happens here, they say their vows. I didn't really take any notes from them, and they were sort of nice.
Just pleasant vows. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this is when we had it in a fanfic in the first episode, but Gabe reveals, of course, that his middle name is Othello, which is just he says. I guess later on he says, "What can I say? My mom likes Shakespeare and angels," which is just like a very interesting, there's all sorts of Shakespearean characters that don't have the sort of tragic end of Othello, let alone, he's the only black character Shakespeare wrote about. So it's an odd choice unless we aren't being told that, that Gabe is a black man this entire time. So who knows?
I also think that isn't that a, what do you call it? Just a trope from detectives having weird names, so just to stand out or something.
Sure.
Hercule Poirot.
I guess so. Yeah.
Just strange names.
Even his initials weren't G-O-D. That shocking thing.
Oh, as soon as you hear it, you call it out. I mean, you have to.
When he goes bowling and you put in your name and it shows up, and most people just put in make it say ass. The whole bowling alley just. There's a silent, one pin drops as they see that Gabe's initials are G-O-D every time.
Murmuring and rounds of congratulations.
Yes.
That's all I got for the wedding.
Yeah, but fortunately, chapter 27 picks up right where it leaps off. It's reception time, baby.
Valentine's Day reception. As she said earlier, which I love. I love this phrase in a book. She said, "Let's be honest." And I'm always like, oh, finally, at last, someone shoot straight with me, Miranda. She said, "Let's be honest. when you have your wedding on Valentine's Day, your color palette is selected for you.
True.
Or something like that.
Yes.
And that is a cup of water in the face for sure. But now we get a description of it here.
Yeah, this is the larger affair. This is where they've opened it up to everyone who wasn't invited to the quote small and intimate wedding. And we get a new character. Was not expecting the description, the George R.R. Martin-y, the Brian Jacques Redwall-y description of a feast here. Was not expecting to introduce a new character here, but we get a stunner. The buffet included a steamship round of beef and a large smoked ham for slicing. What is a steamship round of beef?
I had the same question for you. I did look it up.
Okay, nice.
I have never heard of it in my life. It is a giant, butt steak thing that you can kind of stand up and slice it sort of horizontally or something like that.
Okay, so it's like a carving station item.
A carving station item, yeah. But that made me laugh. A steamship round of beef.
Yeah, I know. Steamship rounds in February, but it was delicious. So they also have several salads and potato dishes. Both white wine and red wine came from the Grapes of Grath, our local wine shop. And you're like, what? What is this weird name? I mean, I understand it. Our friend Vinny Grath refused to let us pay for anything. And that is just stunning. They've got that's how deep this universe goes. They've got their own pun names based on local wine merchants.
I call foul on that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have the Grapes of Grath and then have Vinny Grath.
Well, that's why he started the business. It was fated when he, when he was born.
It's like the donut shop, is Bob Donut.
Yeah.
you can't just make it up.
Yeah, he changed his name to better suit his occupation.
We always felt that, given that his parents had named him Bob Donut, it was natural that he should open a donut shop.
But this is where we get Queenie's toast, where she says that Gabe is a handsome devil who handles the long arm like no one I've ever seen, except me, of course. So yeah, I mean, we've got this delicious man handling a long arm. I got a little hot and bothered myself.
Did you look it up? I did not.
No, I did not. I did not care.
Okay. But all of this stuff is free. That's she goes to great pains to point out that this whole thing was set up by other people and is all gratis.
What? Yeah, huh? Interesting.
The wine is free. Vinny Grath refused to let them pay.
Okay.
The mini dessert items, Danny's Donuts, also gratis. Shelby was there, by the way.
Oh, good. Phew. I mean, she probably was in a corner, playing a 3DS or something, but...
Yeah. Painting her fingernails black in the bathroom. No, she was hanging out with Sarah and Harry.
Oh, phew. Good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, what is all this stuff free? It's not like these people weren't even invited to the wedding in the first place, and now they were expected to believe that they're treating them like their tea company was just washed away by 100-year flood, and they're helping them rebuild or something. They're both well off, as has been established.
I don't know. Maybe where they're at Kelly's, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they do get a cake made by Kelly's pastry chef. I assume they had to pay for that. It does not say that it was free.
Okay, well, I mean, and I guess Vinny Grath is probably shooting her dirty looks, being cheap cake running place, couldn't even cough up the thing. I mean, it's traditional to be we'll just charge you cost, right? There'll be no markup or no service fee or anything like that.
Yeah, traditionally. Yeah. That was a great Vinny Grath impression, by the way.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I didn't get too deep into the character. I didn't really Daniel Day-Lewis it, but give me a couple months and I'll live inside him for a while.
Okay. So yeah, just a description of all the gifts, and then this is when Queenie, who is obviously she's the matriarch of all. She's the her presence is felt wherever she is. Mm-hmm. And she says, "You all know that we are not leaving here until I've had my say." Everyone nodded and laughed.
Oh, nice.
That's a feature of our books.
Yep.
Everyone.
Yep, simultaneously. The noises of approval.
And she gives him the business. I knew you were trouble the second I laid eyes on you. and I love that about you. Then she turned to Gabe and said, Gabe, you handsome devil, you handle a long arm. But seriously, your initials are G-O-D? And the entire room cracked up as Gabe blushed deep red. And that's where he says, my mother loved angels in Shakespeare. So
Yeah.
She calls out the entire wedding. And everyone is ready to just mock. They crack up.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if it's like laughing or if it's like, nervous laughter at the blasphemy or something. But like, Diane's the first to respond. She goes, could have been worse. It could have been Oedipus. And Miranda snorts her champagne as Gabe, I think justifiably glares at her.
Queenie's joke did not go over well with Gabe. He glares at her.
Right. I mean, it's an insult to his mother. Maybe he's just upset because, Oedipus, noted Shakespeare character, so it doesn't really fit in with what she's talking about.
Right.
But they get gifted a wedding quilt, and she says, in case you're wondering, we hadn't planned a honeymoon. And I wrote, there are 26 pages left. That is 1/6 of the book. Is the mystery over? I just need to know at this point in time. Is this sort of like going to trickle out like a post-credit sequence?
I had written at that. I was wondering. Thank you for thinking of me. So that mystery is solved.
Yeah, but it's also she didn't say to be honest, I guess, because it's very quickly negated. But they do go home. He carries her across the threshold. He says he calls her Mr. Whatever D starts with. I don't know. But this is when the cat alerts him to an answering machine message, which is from Gabe's ex-wife, who, true to form, did not come to the wedding. She didn't come to her son's wedding either. She had other plans. She said, we wanted to send our congratulations. The love you share is inspiring. We wish you the best. And there's ellipses throughout this. The line went dead. The slight hesitation here and there indicated how much effort it had taken to send this message. And she says something like, the truth is, all of Susan's relationships since her divorce from Gabe had been short-lived. I certainly hope this one is different. Richard impressed me as a stand-up guy. He's a 4-star general. You would hope he's not like, he's slovenly braided belt, like shirt halfway untucked, like drinking too much at the wedding, like sticking his gum under the table.
Yeah, busting out a joint in the back of the loading dock with the
with the caterers. Yeah. I'm glad his stand-upness came across. Maybe it was also like when he led the rebuilding of Afghanistan or something that maybe was the impression you got then too.
Boy, that Dwight D. Eisenhower struck me as a pretty stand-up guy. I don't know.
But yeah, I think that's when they decide spontaneous honeymoon, baby.
Yes, indeed. I was so glad because in case you were wondering, they hadn't planned it, so this is very spontaneous. But it leads me to a sonic challenge for you.
Oh boy! Because
Harry, I can't remember if he's objecting or he's just making himself known. But meow meow.
Okay, challenge. All right. Meow, meow. I went with objecting. Meow, meow.
And you have cats, right?
Had, yeah.
Okay.
It's put in, yeah. That's very much informed it.
Okay, yeah. No, I felt it. I really did. The exciting end of this chapter: calling to make arrangements for Diane to watch the cat. So that's the end of that chapter.
Yeah. And 28, they are heading off to the Poconos to stay at a restored Victorian B&B run by a woman named Wilma.
Wilma Wilson?
Wilma Wilson. No word on her backstory, on her former son, whether she's had personal tragedies. She does run a very nice B&B, however.
She is a spectacular cook, baker, a very gracious host, it seems like.
Yeah, we get a lot of information. You might not think that, with 20 pages left in a book, that you need pages and pages of description about the Airbnb that they're going to on their unplanned honeymoon. But hang on, I'm going to read you some. Wilma gave us a tour of the downstairs rooms, which included the kitchen, dining room, living room, and library. We went upstairs to the guest rooms, where we were shown a suite, including a bedroom, bathroom, and sitting room. The house had 4 guest rooms, 2 of which were small suites. It's a house! They have described to you a house with absolutely nothing interesting or different about it. There's no you pull a book and like a secret room rotates around on the book cave. There's not like a enormous sconces held by marble arms from ancient sculptures. It is just a house.
There's not one of those corner to corner whisper rooms, or anything like that. Yeah. It's a house. But meanwhile, Cutler is on high alert. The drug deals are happening. Obviously, you just have to walk out on the street to see a drug deal, but we're going to spend a little time at a B&B.
Yep.
So
yes, it is. They essentially left saying we're going to do these presentations. We're going to make posters. We're going to keep doing all this stuff. And they obviously advocate all that immediately.
And we get sort of a pause where she says, "Why don't you come down and have something to eat? We're hungry." They didn't eat at the. Like most people, we didn't eat at the wedding. We were too busy greeting people. Yeah. So she says, come down in half an hour. So we get, packing toiletries and everything and coming down into the dining room. And then we just have a meal.
Yeah.
That I don't know what this is supposed to serve or what is happening here. But it's a curious meal. The food is just sitting there. And she says that we ate in companionable silence.
Mm-hmm.
So they ate a meal in silence after they're on their honeymoon.
Right. Yep. It's sort of companionable, not a term I'm really familiar with or use often.
Well, it's also tough to interpret in silence, but I guess it can be done.
Sure.
But I was curious about this silent post-wedding meal
right.
at the Cozy B&B. So I didn't even bother going to the dark web.
Oh.
Because as you know, I got new computers and it's just,
You haven't set up the VPNs and the
right.
password manager and all that.
Exactly. So I just went and hired the 372 players.
Oh.
For this.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, this is people at home are just nodding appreciatively, I think simultaneously, sounds of approval.
Yes, and I sent you the invoice. Maybe I didn't send you the invoice yet.
No, it didn't turn up.
It's in my outbox.
Okay, well,
I'll speed dial it to you later.
Thank you. That would be appreciated because, I mean, there's not a ton, in the reserves, so to speak.
There's.
After hosting the podcast,
there's nothing.
Setting out some contest winners to.
Now there's.
Even
nothing at all. Huh. Anyway, here are the 372 players recreating the silent post-wedding meal at Wilma Wilson's Cozy B&B that has 4 rooms, 2 suites. Okay. 2 are small suites.
Yes.
This is here you go. Take it away, players. Chicken cordon bleu. Yum. Potatoes au gratin and creamed spinach.
Dinner rolls. Just baked. Honey butter.
Darling, please, can we just eat our honeymoon dinner in complete silence? Is it too much to ask?
Oh, of course, dear.
Okay.
Oh.
No.
No.
Oh, yeah. Gratin. Just delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Chicken cordon bleu.
Okay.
Cream spinach.
Take another bite of that.
This is very companionable, the silence. Should I go in for more? Yeah, I'm going to go in for a little more of this. Yep.
Okay. We do not need to hear any more of this. How much did you pay the 372 players?
Well, all of the money, but just hang on. Like, we haven't even gotten to the dinner roll scene. It's the best part. Wait, hang on. I'll fast forward. Let me see here. I got a digital. I'll fast forward 8 or 9 minutes.
Oh, my God. Gonna,
Thirds. Yeah,
sleep well at night.
That's not bad.
One of these are homemade or Pillsbury. Have to ask
Potatoes before they get cold.
Maybe enough for the recipe, I guess. Delicious dinner roll. Well, that's 1/8 of one dinner roll down the hatch. I can't wait to start on the second eighth of the first dinner roll. Of course, I'll have to go have a whole nother dinner roll as well. But first things first. Look out, second eighth of the first dinner roll, because here comes Mandy. Good is to die for. Made the right spontaneous decision. You know what? Okay, right. I'm shutting this down. No.
What? What? We're 30 minutes away from them finishing their silent meal and then agreeing to drink some wine.
All right, with the players and everything, that was.
I think it was worth it. It's too bad we can't play the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think you're wasting our hard-spent money, but fine. Let's carry on.
I enjoy that the everything from the dark web and the players for this book has pretty much existed to try the patience of listeners and extended the point of.
Well, that's pretty much the book, isn't it?
I guess so. Yes, it is. I mean, it's remarkable to me. Just like that section reminded me of the Ready Player 2 chapter that was just him describing someone playing an arcade game level by level. Just, now I'm having the dinner roll. I'm going to open the wine. I return with the correct. Like, it's just like, we know how a dinner works. You've had several of them in this book.
And is it supposed to be like they don't drink the wine till after the meal,
Insane.
and then they bring the desserts up to the room?
Yeah, it is. It's aliens who are like, one alien's like, I thought you said you studied how meals work. Like, everyone's looking at us because we're carrying wine up to our room. I did. I watched meals. I just sorry if I got a few details wrong.
Yes, but that's all that is. So the meal is ended, and they're drinking wine and eating desserts in their larger of the four suites.
Yes,
I guess.
Yeah. After Gabe has said, "Let's take this celebration upstairs, shall we?" He said, his voice a little husky.
Buck a wow.
Yeah. But then in chapter 29, it cuts to Diane back at the school at a unspecified time of day. We don't know whether this is during the middle of the school day or afterwards. But we get some serious action. She overhears a drug deal happening in a history classroom between a student and an adult. It's very exciting. She's sort of like sneaking down the hall. She's like making noises and then freezing as they sort of like look around and being like, "Did you hear anything?"
And then she I don't know whose point of view this is, but we can see inside the room, but also it's sort of from Diane's point of view. Anyway, we have another sort of Inception-y thing.
Super omniscient, yeah. And it's not really revealed who it's that, yeah, it's omniscient, but it's not filling us in on all the information because it doesn't tell us who the kid is or who this adult is until later.
But this is a curious exchange. I couldn't figure it out for anything. Look, man, I don't have it all, but I need some more for tonight. Uh-huh. I assume that he doesn't have enough money, but he needs more drugs.
Yeah.
You know the deal. No money, no fun. What was that? Huh, sorry, bro. I didn't hear nothing. And then a few seconds later, look, are you going to help me or not? Not. Maybe I'll make a call down to the cop shop and give them a reason to sniff around your desk here.
Yeah.
So what?
Who's who? Well, I mean, so the student is a 40s stool pigeon. He's saying he's going to call down to the cop shop. Yeah.
Say, you want them coppers sniffing, poking their noses, their beezers into your business here, buddy?
What? I ain't seen nothing.
I'm just sore is all.
But he's that character. But then the teacher is the most like evil, brutal guy we've seen so far. He says when the guy says he's going to call the cops, it says he stood up from his chair behind the desk. He turned his neck from side to side with a small cracking sound. So he's like a UFC fighter or something. As fast as humanly possible, he reached across the desk, caught a fist of the teenage boy's shirt, and slammed his face down on the metal top. There was a sickening crunch, and the boy moaned. Listen, you little turd. You think this is a game? So this is a teacher doing this during hours when other faculty are still like roaming the halls. Like, is it between the 7 minutes you get between classes type of thing?
I don't know. And another teacher is just right outside the door.
So the kid bolts out of the class. He knocks Diane down and unconscious. She hits her head on the ground. And that's when we get a new, not tense, a new perspective shift.
Yeah, this is very confusing.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's like the Jackal book that we wrote together. Just like someone else took over the writing.
So does she get knocked out by the kid?
Yeah, the kid sort of bolts out and just, she's so close that when he rounds a blind corner and knocks her down and out. And like the last thing she sees is like, the vague outline of someone standing over her. Okay,
so then the Adam followed the kid out and found Diane.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's very unclear writing. Very unclear.
Yeah. But so Adam goes from, Stallone or Arnold character, like, listen, you turd, like Vin Diesel cracking his neck. And then he comes outside and immediately his world just falls apart. He stood over Diane with panic rushing through his veins. What was she doing there? What did she hear? She was alive, but now she could identify him as the dealer in the school. His shoulders sagged. His life in Cutler was over. So just, kind of, was he all talk? He didn't anticipate any of this happening. He knew that they knew there was a dealer in the school, and yet he just kept dealing and beating kids up, beating up students.
Well, we learn his reason later, but there's no excuse. But then we do get his Ken Burnsian letter.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought.
To Lucy. My darling Lucy, please know that I never wanted this. I hate myself. I did some awful things a long time ago and they caught up to me. I can't imagine the disappointment you must feel. Please know that these few months with you were the happiest of my life. I have no excuse, Lucy, but I couldn't risk them hurting you. I'm so, so sorry, and I'll love you forever. Adam. Appomattox.
Yeah, and Adam was killed in battle the following week. But I mean, there's no word on his motivations for why he was betraying Lucy. It seems like his love was somewhat genuine, although how genuine could it be if he's leading this horrible double life? That's written like a suicide note, but like no word on what he does. I think he just he goes on the run, and it's the last we hear about.
He flees, and they say that he was being blackmailed to do it.
Okay.
Is a detail that comes up later on.
Okay. By?
They do not say.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And then they talk about the ethics of it, like it doesn't matter. There's no excuse.
Well, I mean, it's, I don't know, Max Ryan Jr., it sort of mattered. Like he was wrongly accused. I mean, if people said that they were going to kill Adam's parents unless he dealt drugs, I think I might cut him a bit more slack. That seems like he went from 0 to 60. He embraced the lifestyle pretty quickly, like kicking students' asses and flexing his neck. But
crushing noses into desks. Yeah, it's he got into it. It was the Milgram experiment, I guess. He went full in.
Yeah, I wonder if Max Ryan Jr. is going to be going full Serpico kind of thing.
Right. So now this chapter 30, right?
Mm-hmm, yep. This is our hero Miranda and Gabe are heading home, and that they get a call on the way back from the Poconos that says that Diane is fine except for a headache. She got knocked out at the school, and they let her know that you should know that Adam McCutchen was the drug dealer at the school, and he's gone on the run. And so she's both sad and livid at the betrayal of Lucy, Adam's girlfriend.
Right, and so they feel they must go to Lucy to comfort them, Handsome Gabe and Miranda, but they can't right away. They're going straight from the Wilma Wilson's B&B,
her exceptional B&B, just unique,
straight to the Guild.
Yes,
they have to go there.
So her best friend, her cat sitter, the woman making sassy Oedipus jokes during toast at their wedding, is in the hospital. So Quilt Guild meeting.
Yes.
And the Quilt Guild is incredible. They sort of walk in the door, and you think there might be this like pall over everything, like someone's been hurt, like we didn't solve anything and we severely endangered our friends and other civilians, but we quickly sorted out our roles. The beautiful patches Harry and Sarah and Queenie had put together formed the basis for our pillows. Queenie and I stitched borders around them. Judy sewed the front to back to plain backs. Gabe flipped them from right side out and stuffed, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, say, did Adam kill himself? Is there any more concern about his supplier taking out other people about? Like, do we know which kid was buying the drugs that gave Diana concussion? Like, we're making hope and believe pillows.
Is the kid whose nose was shattered on the metal desktop, how's he doing?
Yeah, is he suing the school district as well? Because we already had that lawsuit from Max Ryan Jr., so we're in bad shape with our budget for the next decade.
Right. He now has a metal plate in his skull. We're going to be paying for that for a long time. But let's make pillows.
She says this sentence that says, we had made a good start at pushing back the dealers, but none of us doubted it would be an ongoing battle. You had a wedding and then went to the Poconos. That was your ongoing battle. It was like, governors in 2020 being like, all right, we've seen a day tick down in the numbers. Let's the cough on each other festival is back on again. Like let's move on. Like we made some moderate progress.
Right. We get some good name dropping here, though. My favorite thing.
Oh yeah.
Barbara Huntley is mentioned. That is Lucy's mother, who is not to be confused with Barbara Franklin, the wife of Zoey's thesis advisor.
Holy crap.
I just want to clear that up for you.
Wow.
And here's a challenge to you, not a Sonic challenge. Lucy says, but don't worry, Miranda. I had William call Grace to come in and help him and Janie. Mm-hmm. Who is this?
Okay. I literally wrote down pop quiz. How many of these characters will you be able to name? And we covered...
Grace has not been mentioned before.
Has never been mentioned. It is the first mention of Grace. I'm glad we both wanted to confirm that and did. You do get something about them saying grace before a meal, and that is the only other mention of the word grace in the book.
Exactly. Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
And then they're stunned by the announcement that Harriet and Sarah are going to visit her brother Joshua.
Their jaws drop. The surprise and concern on their faces.
These are women who are tasing drug dealers behind the Quickie Mart. I think they'll be fine going to visit their brother Joshua in Lansdale, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's outside of Philly. It's not even that far.
No.
They say that no one could really remember the twins going anywhere. They were always here when we needed them. But recent events had indeed made us all realize the importance of family and the need to make the most of our time with them. Okay, you guys were just, husky voiced going up to your room with a bottle of wine and the Poconos, but I guess that whole time you were really thinking about your family. The other part about the Quilters Guild meeting was Brittany speaking up. She says, "Tell Lucy to call me if she wants to talk. I'm home a lot of these days." Her face showed her disgust with being stuck at home. So you think is she basking in the joy of a new mother? No, she's just disgusted with this disgusting huge baby that's somehow it's already walking around the house. It's growing at an unnatural rate. And it says, I knew it wouldn't be long before she was rushing around, baby in tow. Literally being towed around by a tow truck. It's like she's got a rickshaw pulling it because a stroller collapsed the first time she put it in.
She gets home and now I know we know these people, but I just find this funny. She says she's unpacking her tote. Oh, there we go. So many thoughts were flying around my head while I was unpacking my tote. Thoughts of Adam and Lucy, Jenny, Johnny, and Penny. I needed to call Diane for it. Just can't help herself but just throwing out the names.
Yeah,
she just loves it.
Yeah, it's like the Mambo number 5 or something.
Yes.
But the only other thing that I had here was, it's about she was talking to Lucy. And he used her and her love to insinuate him into this community, all the while knowing what he was doing. I'm not buying the blackmail theory. Criminals are usually remorseful after they've been caught. Bastard. He'd better stay away. because if the police officers in Cutler find him before the feds, it won't be pretty.
Wow.
Every citizen knows how dirty these cops are. They're just going to, yeah, he had an accident, his car caught on fire. That's how he burned to death in that shed or something like.
Yeah, that Jimmy's got a drop pistol.
Yes, right. Yeah, planting, nasty stuff on him. How did his face get bruised before he burned to death? This press conference is over.
Yeah, full confirmation that they are dirty as hell. That's amazing. I have 2 sonic challenges for you.
Oh boy.
This is it's repeated beat here where Harry almost trips them again. It's almost identical.
Damn
to
it,
the
Harry.
Previous one. But so Harry responds with meow reow, WREOW.
Well, first you meow and then you reow. Okay. So he's just about tripped them, so maybe he's apologetic. Oh, meow. Reow.
Okay. And then they have this little game that they do, like, have I told you lately that I love you or whatever.
Oh, yep. Is that Van Morrison reference?
Yeah, that's Van Morrison.
Okay.
So I think we should make that our official couple song. What do you say? And here's the challenge for you. Then he sang it to me in a wonderful tenor voice I didn't know existed.
Okay. Okay. Wow. All right. Let me see what I can do. All right. Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you lately that I care? Fill my heart with gladness. Take away my sadness. Ease my troubles, that's what you do. Husky. Huh?
That was four more verses.
No. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Oh, I just love the thought of him singing the entire song, which it makes it pretty clear. Then he sang it to me in a wonderful tenor voice. They were talking about the official couple song.
Yeah, I mean, so there's some sort of registry you go in to update this. Is it like your Facebook relationship status?
So, and the morning sun with all its glory. You can stop.
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Yeah, it's like someone who goes to sing the other verses of the Star Spangled Banner. Come on, we just need this. We just need the chorus here.
Oh, so that's the end of that chapter. A beautiful end.
Yeah. Chapter 31. This goes back to, believe it or not, some drug dealing is still going on in town. And we see that Max Ryan Jr. has returned to the CD bar. He's been tased. He's been to prison. He's eaten prison pizza. He's endured the Joey's wrecked can. He's wept with his father. And now he's back. He's back in it. He's in too deep. He can't quit.
I assume he got a call from the oil and lube place that said, look, buddy, you've tested us for the last time. You're fired.
Yeah, we're calling your parole officer. Like, employment was a condition of your parole. So, enjoy prison.
Yeah.
But the bartender greeted him like he was a minor celebrity. Hey, you're the guy they picked up with Martin, right? Max shrugged. They had nothing to hold me on. The man laughed. Good for you. So yeah, he's just back, and they all know that he's a criminal, and they're just going about their day. They're not. There's no suspicion whatsoever.
Jimmy was right. Yeah.
Yeah. But we get a stunning moment. It's he gives a hot chick in the bar his fake name.
Yes.
And the fake name he has chosen to go with, Reese Hershey, which is I wrote down probably a dozen exclamation marks in the book. Later, when he introduces himself to the big bad, the guy says, "That's the fakest name I have ever heard." But for a while, I thought they were going to try to pass that off as if there was an actual alias, and I was very impressed. I was very amused. I think one of the cops on the Shield, as an alias when he was going undercover, used the name Cletus Van Dam, and this is they've managed to top that somehow.
This seems like a character that Michael from The Office would put in one of his movies. You know,
Yep.
Threat Level Midnight.
Yes.
Reese Hershey would be a detective or something.
So that was, I mean, you know, I tipped my hat at that moment. It was wonderful. And he gets introduced to Baldy, who's, you know, a middle bad, I guess. He agrees to buy $10,000 worth of drugs from him, plus $1,000 finder's fee. He calls Jimmy to get the money. And so this sets up like the big final sting, I guess, by putting a tracker on the big drug dealer's SUV.
Yeah, I don't understand what happens with the white styrofoam cooler. Help me out there. He gives him candy hearts.
Yes, that's the drugs. That's how he's dosed with ecstasy, probably.
He handed it to Max. Really? Right after Valentine's Day? Perfect, right? He laughed loudly. Think of it as holiday clearance. I only have extra because I lost my kitty clown.
That was a peculiar choice as well that I noted.
Guy's gone missing, and he better hope I'm not the one to find him.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, exactly. So there's a misspelling. There's a weird drug dealer slang that no drug dealer's ever used. But that's talking about Adam McCutchen.
Okay.
I don't know if
he's
the clown,
kitty clown?
He's the kitty clown. I mean, I guess he's a kitty because I don't know how young he is, but he's maybe dealing to the kitties. He has red hair, so like that Ronald McDonald kind of look.
Oh.
It's not elaborated on, but that's when you're a woman of a certain age writing books about drug dealers, I think you're just probably going to use that iced tea type of slang for drug stuff.
Okay. That was baffling. I guess the typo and the kitty clown threw me off.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. It's like the we just finished doing the movie Plankton.
Oh God.
Which is a weird dubbed Italian movie, but they're on a yacht and there's a clock on the wall that is like a fish with one eye that's like a sexy clock or something.
Yes,
and it talks to them.
Yeah.
And it says, "Hey, I can give good time," or something. And then the woman goes, "What is that?" And the other woman says, "Cutie time." And there's no explanation. So
yes,
that's what
as
kitty
if it was, Cutie Clown and Cutie Time and Kitty Clown are the new additions to the Rainbow Bright universe or something.
Right. Never explained. Anyway, so kitty clown.
And this is during that exchange when he's calling him kitty clown, he smiles slightly, and that's when Max could tell that the mustache on his face was fake. So everyone is just wearing fake mustaches. Everyone can tell that they're fake. They're using wildly fake names. And it's a shock when they end up getting busted at the end of this. We get this amazing reveal. Speaking of like cutie pie and cutie time and kitty clown, it just sort of jumps ahead in time, and it says Baldy, whose real name was Kevin Hoyster, was the first domino to fall. Yes. It's amazing. They can't resist giving everyone a full name and weird, backstory, even when they are a character we just met who's about to be arrested.
And they just do it at the most inopportune time. There was no reason for it, obviously.
No, I mean, Baldy was mentioned once on a phone call or an aside about a phone call or something, right? It was like, and then Baldy would be there. Like, we didn't even see him until right now.
Right. The true demon of this book, the interstate, shows up here.
Yep.
The Dewdrop was one of 3 local hotels. 3 local hotels.
Yeah.
Cutler's got it going on.
Town of 3,000.
But listen, it was one of the 3 local hotels with quick interstate access that were under surveillance.
Look,
the others,
when it's parents' weekend and they come to the town, to the college, they just want to be able to like in and out. They don't want to like be navigating local roads that might be under construction, closed for a parade or something. Like they just want in and out on that interstate.
Yeah, it's like, taking the road trips. You look for the gas station that's, I'm going to get in and out of there. I'm not going to pull off to the left and go half a mile for this gas station. So, yeah.
But yeah, so they evidently Jimmy has sort of like taken the police department's myriad failings to heart and has actually worked out some surveillance. No word on whether it's in a hallway at a desk with a convenient window or not, whether they put up signs that say you're being watched. But but Smith, who's the stockbroker, comes to town, and he's staying at the Dewdrop, I believe. So he's under surveillance.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then we get the moment that we had in another fan fiction where Baldy takes off, high-speed chase. He pulls onto an off-ramp, but then one of Jimmy's men pulls out to block it. Another guy pulls up behind him, and he says the boss would never let him see a courtroom, and he couldn't do prison. He wasn't made for it. He closed his eyes and allowed himself one moment to envision that beach on Antigua that had seemed so close. First mention of that. Then he reached under the seat, pulled out the gun, and put it to the side of his head. And then bang. What does it mean that the boss would never let it? That's implied in other times in the book is that either drug dealers are just going to let people, I guess, wipe them out before they testify against them.
Yeah, the boss is just going to murder him. Yeah. So.
Because, especially if he goes to Cutler's notoriously lax holding cell.
Yeah, for sure.
But he couldn't do prison? This guy's a professional drug dealer. He has two, drug dealer hot women on either arm. He's, wearing fake mustaches. He's, making 5-figure drug dealers. Like, you'd think he'd just be have steeled himself a bit more for this possibility.
Yeah, and what I wondered immediately was his clients. Who's going to take his accounts?
Right.
Isn't he like investment banker, right?
Yeah. Well, is that Smith or the ball? Oh, Smith is the guy here. Yeah.
I think Smith is the Wall Street mover.
Yeah, it's a
shaker,
very good question.
Right?
Like some IPOs were about to happen the next week, and now they're going to have to reschedule those to Q3 because of this guy who was managing them. He's now shot himself on a Cutler off ramp.
Those have got to be some good phone calls. Hey, I know we were going to take you public. We've got a little wrinkle. You remember Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great guy.
He was managing the account really well. Yeah, he put us in touch with Sundar from Google. We worked some stuff out.
You remember, clean-shaven fella. Had no facial hair whatsoever.
Of course not. Yeah, occasionally a little stickum on his upper lip, which I always thought was odd, but the work overshadowed any sort of quirks like that.
Well, he had a little issue with he had a weekend job, which is not unusual, until you build up your portfolio.
Volunteering, maybe. Oh.
Well, no, it was peddling Valentine's shaped drugs, pills to teenagers in a town called Cutler, which is just off the interstate.
Oh, okay. I had a lot of questions until you said it was just off the interstate. That
right.
I mean, now I sort of, makes sense. But how is this going to affect our massive merger with Comcast?
He's no longer with the company. Well, he's no longer with anything because he was staying at the Dewdrop, which is right off the interstate in Cutler.
You act like I haven't driven past the Dewdrop and thought it seemed like a nice place on the way to the Poconos. Okay. I mean, I'm more of a B&B kind of guy. I've got a standing order with Wilma, but the Dewdrop looks like a nice spot.
Anyway, we've got the facts and figures coming for you. I'm going to send you. In fact, I'm going to send it right now. I've got it in my box here, and so you'll get that soon. Anyway, he shot himself in the head when a cop car stopped him. So we got a new guy on it, and I think you're going to be very happy. There's no reason to postpone the date or anything. I think we're good. I'm
looking up this new guy on LinkedIn. It does appear that he's wearing a giant false mustache. Sam Elliott. It's yeah, so it must have caused some major, probably tanked the stock market for an hour or two.
For sure.
Man, it all comes back to Cutler.
That's right. So a little wrap up here as Max Ryan Jr. goes again before Judge McAllister. You remember, of course.
Yeah, do I? I don't remember.
But we get the stern Judge McAllister speech, Mm-hmm. You've done good work here, young man. You screwed around a lot, but you finally got your crap together. Good for you. And I don't want to see you in my courtroom again. Bang, bang.
I actually didn't screw around. I was falsely accused of 2 terrible crimes that tarnished my family's reputation. But yeah, she also says, this detail. You've done well. You've performed a special service to this community, details of which need not be read into the public record. Because it was massively illegal and dangerous, unethical. It would, to reiterate, would ruin our community. But then she looks up and his whole family is there. Like his brothers are there. Like he has little brothers. His mom is weeping. And the judge smiles and thinks it was going to be a good day. And I just imagine the bailiff being like, up next, the drunk driver that hit a school bus and killed 5 kids. She's like, well, that good day did not last very long.
And in the meantime, the sort of undercover internal affairs guys are like nodding to each other and towards Jimmy and going like, we gotta rein this guy in, man.
Right. Yeah. If he ever talks, it'll bring us all down.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's that
final chapter.
Yeah.
It's we are at the library, this sort of, I guess, probably the hub of these books. Not the quilting room as you might think, but Miranda's at the library sort of reminiscing on everything when her face falls because she sees Police Chief Jimmy coming to talk to Lucy. Mm-hmm. And she goes straight off the deep end.
Man, this is a lot of passion here. This is the first time she was enraged, I think.
Yes. She pokes him in the chest with her finger and says, "Hasn't this young woman been through enough? Can you please give her a slight break? Do you have to harass her at work?" And his face turns pink, and she says, "This is police harassment. I mean it. I'm calling Gabe right now." I practically screamed at him. I'm not sure what Gabe is going to do as a retired FBI officer, but people are way too comfortable pushing around the chief of police in this town.
I mean, is Gabe going to somehow get in touch with a 4-star general? Or I don't know.
I mean, that guy, he's stand up. I don't think he'd tolerate this police harassment.
He's there. Go ahead.
Yeah, she hadn't noticed that he's as she's jabbing him in the chest like a baseball manager to an umpire. He's turning his hat in his hands and staring at the floor like he's a community theater actor who's got that bit of stage business.
Right, and yes, he is there to ask out Lucy.
Yeah.
So that's supposed to wrap that up, but meanwhile, like Adam's out there, who knows how many fake mustaches that guy's put on.
Yeah, is he one of those guys whose facial hair like doesn't match his hair, so he has to like think about how that would work?
Is he plans to like work his way back and like kidnap Lucy, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's a loose cannon out there.
Yeah, he's sort of the Russian in the Pine Barrens on The Sopranos. He's just he's a looming presence for the rest of the series.
Huh. Well, maybe that's the next book. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we talk to this guy, Jeffrey, who's read them all, he might be able to fill us in.
But the book ends with, I thought this was a bit childish. She agrees to go out with him, and then she bounced up and down, taking me with her. So they're jumping up and down over the fact that Jimmy, the dirty cop, has agreed to go on a date to eat barbecue in January February. I guess.
Yeah, we have moved on. Yeah, she says, "I figured it was safe enough to go out with the chief of police, right?" That's the end of the book. It's like, well, I guess it's safe as long as you don't end up in the holding cell or anything. Yeah, they're bouncing around like they're on the playground playing Ring Around the Rosie or something.
And we had no physical description of Jimmy or his age or anything, so I was a little puzzled. I mean, Lucy's like 24 or something, right?
Yeah, and so you mean how old? How does Jimmy match up there?
Yeah, like what? I mean, I guess he could be.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. He could be 50 or something.
Yeah, but if the other chief died unexpectedly, he might have been called up from the ranks before he naturally would have been ready. So
I don't know. I was just picturing Jimmy as a little more. He's running this enormous illegal operation under the table.
Right, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I pictured him as a little more seasoned, a little more gray at the temples.
Yeah, maybe came in from the big city to manage this thing. Well, that was your question. My other questions was, how was Diane? How's the concussion? How was Jenny? How was the girl who passed out and couldn't make it to Sunday dinner? How many other kids died? Because there was a 3 per week OD rate, and that it was probably another week between the wedding and coming back from the Poconos. So,
and I mean that vacuum of the drug dealer shooting himself in the head. That's a vacuum that's going to get filled, right? Mm-hmm. The posters aren't going to stop another one from coming, I don't think.
I mean, I think that we've just that's why they make new books in the series.
That's right.
Follow-up questions.
Now, in my book, because I just have the ebook, I get the picture of the authors.
Yeah.
Of two of them, though.
Yeah.
But there's 3, right? Who wrote them?
Well, this was something we looked up on the website. The third one, I think she's sort of given a credit as being with them because she passed away, and that was sort of like a she's with us in spirit type of thing.
Oh, really? I did not know.
I think it was mentioned maybe on their website or maybe on their Amazon author page. So rest in peace, Beth Devlin Kuhn. The question I had about their bio was Mary Devlin Lynch lives in the Bronx. She's a notorious multitasker, combining quilting and writing with reading 2 or 3 books all at the same time. She also runs her husband's business. What?
How is it in any sense her husband's business?
That's a very good question. Yeah, it's like the ship of Theseus. Once she is taking over running it, does it remain his business?
Yes. But if you had to guess what TV shows Debbie likes, you would have guessed?
Yes.
2 of them. Yep. 2 of 3 you would have guessed.
She likes bones.
Yes.
And
Castle would have been the other one that I would have said, of course, she likes. and then NCIS.
So, yep, the CBS procedurals.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I mean, you could probably see some of that in here. I bet some of those have the face slammed down onto the desk with a sickening crunch type of thing.
Right. So I didn't know. Then I get a catalog of their other books.
Yeah, they've got other series, right?
The Witherspoon Adventures, Romance and Paranormal Healing.
What?
And the cover of which looks like sort of just a frame stop of a Mark Gormley.
Oh wow!
A video kind of. There's like clouds or something and a guitar and.
What? Wait, so, which one are these called? The Witherspoon.
Witherspoon Adventures.
I don't have that one.
Each novel is based on one of 3 cousins who has inherited the power to heal or ease the pain of another.
Wow. All right.
All right. So that's the Witherspoon Adventures. Then, and then another one in there, Burnt Roses, Before, Ever, After.
I've got some other
Relative
ones, yeah.
Unknown. Oh, the Meredith Abbott Adventures. Do you have that one?
No. Man.
Lying for a Living, Meredith Abbott's Adventures in Hollywood. Dying for a Headline, Mary Abbott's Adventures in England.
Oh, wow. She gets around.
And then we have Caden and Cat Adventures.
Yes, I do see those. The Right Move, WRIGHT, The Right One, and The Right Woman.
Yes, okay.
I also have Sierra Parker, Museum Curator.
Oh, my God.
A Night in Cairo, KNIGHT. Skylar Kincaid, Editor. That's
I have that. Do you have Hollywood Designer Adventure?
Yes, Sophie by Design.
Sophie by Design.
Yes. Yeah.
Sierra Parker, Museum Curator.
Yeah, that was The Night in Cairo.
Oh, Night in Cairo. Got it. Okay.
Man.
And then we get to the Miranda Hathaways.
They're all. I don't know. So a lot of them say contemporary romance. So I don't know if those are cozy mysteries. So those might be. Maybe that's where they really let their freak flag fly in the bedroom.
Miranda Hathaway is cozy romance / mystery.
Okay, so I mean, I guess that's why we had so much wedding talk. That makes sense in the looking at it from that perspective. But it's also a quilting based. That's a key part of the genre.
Yeah. The titles, by the way. Do you have all the titles of the quilting series?
Yes.
The Quilt Ripper, The Missing Quilter, The Quilt Show Caper, The Quilter's Secret, A Quilt to Die For.
Yeah.
The Quilter's Christmas Surprises.
That's where they find the baby. The cat finds the baby.
Yeah. And is this the last in the series?
No, I believe there's one more after this. There's a Quilter's 8.
Okay.
No word on whether they're continuing it. I mean, this seems to be their, bread and butter. This seems to be their flagship. So.
Okay. All right. Well, summing up.
Yeah. I mean, summing up, it was a delightful romp. It was unlike anything we've ever read. Well, I mean, it's sort of like some of the other Dwight David Thrash and Moon People type of books we've read, but it's its own thing. They just outsider art, as they call it. It's something that the big publishing system would have never let happen, and we would have been worse for it.
I obviously enjoyed it quite a bit. A lot more laugh out loud moments than previous books, I think.
Yep.
Really, really enjoyed keeping track of the characters.
And none of the none of the frustration of the Dwight David Thrash book where it was just like, okay, like, I mean, this is funny, but like the joke got old, fairly recently. But it was like that if you just weren't copying and pasting everything just based on the describing the relationships and the sort of simplistic view of how people interact with each other and how these things work.
Yeah, Dwight David Thrash was as if it would be like if someone did a podcast and then did these kind of long sketches that tested the audience's patience by naming all the characters in the book and then doing a silent dinner, that kind of thing.
That would be terrible. No one would ever support their Patreon at patreon.com/372 pages.
Certainly not.
But yeah, I think I'd definitely put it above Dwight David Thrash. It's in that tier. I think I'd put it, above Moon People. It's a hard call for me. I think I think it had more laugh out loud moments.
Yeah, I put it right in with Tice and Moon People. I put it above Dwight David Thrash.
Yeah. Well,
so yeah, pretty much in the same spot.
Nice. Well, I mean, maybe we can return to cozies before. I'm sure that people have dipped their toes in as well. So maybe there's some recommendations, or maybe our algorithm will just point us in the direction of something else. But yeah, I think we do have something ready to go for next time. So stick with us. And, of course, Patreon people are the first to learn about that. So you'll want to probably stick around the Patreon.
And just keep an eye out for Adam McCutchen. He's out there somewhere.
Yeah, lurking. I mean, the shock of red hair. If you hire a kitty clown for your birthday party, that might be a dead giveaway.
If we have any furniture store owners out there, just, be very careful of whom you hire.
Yeah, for
what I'm going to say.
Your management trainee program, you might want to just, that could be a honeypot to try to like lure him towards your establishment.
Watch out for fake mustaches. No, it was fun. Are we going to do any mail?
Yeah, let's do some dumb sentences, and then we can read an email or two.
A sentence begins with a capital letter. A capital letter is a letter that's big. A capital letter is not a small letter. A capital letter is big, big, big. A sentence ends with a period.
The dumb sentences of the week. Just people, as said before, not necessarily dumb, more sort of charming, simplistic, childish. Here we go. This one is from Ben. This is regarding their honeymoon. It's not Paris, but for staying local, the Poconos are only a few hours from home. And then Ben has analyzed the sentences. The first half of the sentence implies the second half will offer a rebuttal to the Poconos quality, but it's just a restatement that it's a local getaway. Why not say it's not Paris, but for staying local, the Poconos are just as romantic. Augusta submitted, our grilled chicken salads arrived, and we chowed down for a moment. Then she went back to her notebook. And they said, chowing down doesn't seem like an action that can be accomplished in a moment. I don't think of salad as a food to be chowed. Save the chowing for pork and sauerkraut or barbecue even in January. This is from Donald. He said, Gabe snapped pictures as quietly as he could with the window rolled down. And he said, unless Gabe is operating an old film camera with manual film advance, there's really no way to affect the amount of sound you make taking pictures. This one is from Mark. Making use of the tracker on his vehicle, Jimmy and his deputies waited until he made another buy and then picked him up along with his driver. And you just so the Quilters didn't do anything, and then it all happened off screen when it happened.
Yep.
Jay submitted, we all stopped chewing and sipping. He just said it's an alien way to express surprise. This one is from three people, Gina and Laurel and Daniel. It was almost in unison with everyone saying it at the same time. So was it almost in unison, or did everyone say it at the same time? That was what I overlooked when I read it, and I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have Tom H. I think this is from the Vows. You never pushed, and yet you wouldn't let me push you away. For the people who did a bunch of pushing back in the book, I mean, it seems like a little clever or maybe unintentional. We have, okay. This is a paragraph. I'm going to allow it just because they did some good analysis from Jennifer. She says it uses every tense possible. The entire quilt guild was ordered to stand down and let the police take it from here. So there's two in one sentence. Jimmy felt the word was out that Cutler is not a safe place for the dealers anymore. We will continue to monitor the high school and give talks against drug use. The fact is the town remains on alert and we keep our eyes open for any signs of drug dealers. So she got 3 different tenses, 2 use of past, 2 use of present, 1 use of future.
Stunning.
It is.
Wow.
Janelle submitted, such are our thoughts on Valentine's Day. And Justin submitted, she loves to make her react, which she always does.
Wow.
That was, I think, Diane needling the waitress. He
Sylvia?
says, yes. He says, this sentence was carefully crafted to be as imprecise and vague as possible. I have a couple that didn't get used. Do you have any sentences that were not burned?
I have one.
Okay.
This is Diane in the school.
Okay.
The closer she got, the more she realized it was the voices of a man and a boy.
Some nice point of view grammar mismatch.
Yeah. That sentence takes a turn.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess man and boy is like those 2 guys are probably like, you know, you had the teacher in high school that was like just a few years older than you because they were just out of college or something. That's closer to what it is there. And a high schooler boy, all right, I guess so.
Yeah.
I have 2 that didn't get used. 1, I choked slightly. That's during something of their dinner at Sylvia's.
Sure.
And then 2, this is during their I have 3, I guess. This is during their B&B dinner. She said, those desserts look homemade, so there's definitely going to be dessert. Again, just sort of takes a weird turn halfway through. They're looking at desserts, and that convinces them that there's going to be dessert. And then this was towards the very end when he realizes that Jimmy asked out Lucy. Wow. I was, in one of the words I like to use now and then, gobsmacked.
Wow.
So that's sort of filling in the, as you know, I'm not a fan of high heels, but it was just using a word and saying, I like to use this word now and then. Well, assume you like to use a lot of the words that you've used in this book so far.
Going back to your, I think, choking slightly, I passed it over. Yeah, I passed it over. But I think she spits champagne or something during Queenie's toast.
When Diane says her, at least it was an Oedipus joke, maybe.
I think so. Yeah. There's there's a lot of food issues with her.
She snorted her champagne.
She snorted it. Yeah. Okay. She's snorting. She's chowing down. She's having silent meals. Yeah. She's eating barbecue at the wrong time. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I think after Digital Fortress, our most weird food heavy book, you know, that was a guy drinking olive oil and eating, you know, tofu straight out of the fridge. But like this is, this had a lot. This was just, you know, feasts happening everywhere, weird justifications for food, silent dinners. Like it had it all.
What was his affectation of? He played, was it handball or racquetball? And
the guy in Digital Fortress,
squash.
Yep, squash. Yes,
yeah. Squash, and he just easily kicked everyone's ass or something.
Yep, effortlessly, and then he would rinse his head in the water fountain and drink like an entire gallon of orange juice.
Okay. Strange.
Quirky, yeah. I mean, combine that with this, just referring to this guy who you've never met and saying he did that and never mentioning him again would be like prime Quilters pushback stuff.
Oh, if only. The crossover.
All right, let's do a couple of emails and call it a day. All right, just going to do a few of these because we are, of course, just entering the long runtime here. Here's an update from Lucas. Time to compile real or fanfic stats again. Math wasn't that hard this time. Mike got 7 of 10%. 70% correct. Same score he got for Moon People. Short books tend to lend themselves to very high or very low scores. Mike's score increased his average from 57.58% to an even 58%.
Yes.
Yeah. He says there's not much to say about the small amount of data, so I took the time to make a bar graph of Mike's score for every book, and I will post that on our various social channels so you can see sort of like where things stacked up in between each book.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you, Lucas.
Thanks for that work. Yeah.
This one is from Donald. He said, Small, close-knit communities like to do things together. Cutler goes one step further and does things in unison. This book contains 57 instances of the word everyone, which seemed like a lot for the book of this length. Yeah, that's more than one every third page. And he said, here's a sampling. We all laughed. All eyes turned to Dom. They all chuckled. Everyone turned immediately to look. We all shrugged and nodded. What? It was almost in unison with everyone saying it at the same time. We all nodded as we stood up. Everyone was buzzing. We all cheered. Everyone raised their glasses. We all sat still and silent. We all turned our attention to Harriet and Sarah. Everyone stared at Joey, etc., etc. It goes on. That's half of them. I will not read them all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't that was a strong feature of Moon People as well,
All
right?
simultaneously, all saying specific, intricate sentences all at the same time.
Yeah, his whole classroom saying things.
What is it about that?
I don't know. What does that add to anything? I don't know.
I guess it's just, you can picture sort of a movie where people sort of murmur or something, and that's the
right.
That's what the deal is. This one is from Christopher. You might know this. I don't understand. It just occurred to me while listening to the latest episode and hearing you and Mike talk about vigilante quilters that the author of this cozy mystery have stolen the plot from the MST and Riff Tracks classic movie Angel's Revenge. Any thoughts? Any thoughts?
Oh, it's been a while.
Yes. If you hadn't thought about that before, I certainly had it. Now imagine the quilters in this story all dressed like goofy 70s disco vigilantes, and it will change forever how you view this book.
Oh, boy. Sylvia and... no, not Sylvia. Harriet.
Yeah, and Sarah wearing
Sarah.
go-go boots. And we'll have to look into that because those words do not make any sense to me. I don't remember even... maybe Bridget and Mary Jo did that one. Here we have a book, an email. This is not from a listener. However, what? Not a listener emailing? Listen, it will become very clear. This is from Hello, Conor and Michael. I wanted to make sure these two forthcoming titles from Huft and Michelin were on your radar for coverage this summer. Carrie Vaughn, author of the New York Times bestselling Kitty Norville urban fantasy series, reemerges with an action-packed novel for fans of Ready Player One. Questland narrates the adventures of literature professor Dr. Addie Cox, who expects an unusual job from Harris Lang, a famously eccentric billionaire tech genius. So this is a unsolicited email. We get these occasionally. We're like, hey, I wrote this book. I'd be happy to come on and discuss it. And I usually just reply, we review terrible books.
Right.
It just indicates the most basic lack of research. Humiliating, frankly. So she thought that we would want to be interested in a book that would be for fans of Ready Player One. I can't imagine anything that I would have less of an interest in.
And this was from Houghton Mifflin?
I have no idea how to say that. Yeah, so it's a real big publisher. That's and the Kitty Norville best-selling urban fantasy series.
Kitty Norville. I bet you hear that and you go, man, I should have snapped that name.
Right. Yep. That's a cozy mystery detective right away. But you'll have to pick another Kitty something else.
I grew up in the hometown of Houghton Mifflin Company, by the way.
Wow.
Batavia, Illinois.
Wow. All right.
It was a prominent business. It's no longer headquartered.
Yeah, I have to imagine
that was always a point. We used to tour it every
field trip.
Every field trip.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's all come full circle now. I'm sure we could probably get free copies of that book if we wanted. I do not want them.
No.
And let's just close this out. This is from Jeffrey. Jeffrey is the guy who's been reading all the books. He thought this would be real or fanfic worthy, but I just think this is a good excerpt from The Missing Quilter, Book 2, to sort of just give you a taste of maybe like what we've been missing in this series. He said, this is all just written as written in the books. When Harriet had gleefully confided at dinner last night that she'd been practicing with her taser, Sarah clearly disapproved. That's what I thought. And poor Mrs. Landon took Mittens to the vet to see why he keeps falling over. Harriet frowned. I used the lowest voltage so it wouldn't hurt him and would wear off quickly. It was awful, I know, but we couldn't help but laugh. Gabe suggested she give the taser a rest for a while we all pictured everyone from the mailman to some unsuspecting census taker being zapped. They sowed the seeds in Book 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's the long con.
That is a trait that is built into the character. She loves tasing people.
And was practicing on her cat, it sounds like.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's an intricate quilting verse here. You've got just these long-term character traits, and I guess you had an itchy trigger finger and finally got to use it on an unsuspecting innocent person.
Well, if there's any update on why Miranda hates high heels, please also pass that along.
Yeah, we'll try to make that happen to speak with him and see how it goes. But
all right.
I think until the next book, which we will be revealing somewhat in the future to Patreon, of course, first.
Yes, Patreon, 372 pages. Sign yourself up.
Do it. Make it happen. But yeah, thanks to everyone who supports it. Thanks to everyone who read along. Thanks to everyone who emailed in. This one was a lot of fun.